Good afternoon. Today we're going to be talking about percents less than 1. So our first key concept here, a percent less than 1 describes a very small amount of something. $1,000 is 100% of $1,000. So let's look at 3 more pictures of that. 10% of $1,000 is 100. If I look at 1%, that's of 1,000, it's only $10. 0.1% is only $1. Okay, so I keep getting smaller and smaller by a factor of 10 on these. Okay, percents less than 100, small numbers. Now let's look at this. We need to put each number into the appropriate column. Equivalent to 0.5% and non-equivalent to 0.5%. Well, let's think about 0.5%. 0.5%. Okay. A couple ways I can think about it. I can think about it as 1/2 over 100. That will be 0.5%. 1/2 over 100. Which this, I know, if I multiply this by 2 and this by 2, I get 1/200. Which is really tiny. The other way I can look at it, I'm going to go down here, 0.5%, 1/2 is 0.5, and throw my percent sign on. To change from a percent to a decimal, I have to move to the left 2 places. Okay. Another very small number, okay, 5 thousandths. So now that'll help us with putting these into the 2 columns of equivalent to 0.5% and not equivalent to 0.5%. So let's start with 1/2. 1/2 is 0.5. Is that equivalent to 1 over 2,000 or 0.005? No. So take care of that one. How about the next one, 0.5? Clearly, it's not the same as 0.005. How about 0.05? Well, we're getting closer, but still not quite there yet. 50%. Now we got to think about it a little bit. 50%. That's the same as 1/2 of something. Oh, still not there. All right. 1/50th. Well, we've already said that 1 over 200, or 1/200th. So 1/50th is not the same as 1/200th. How slowly? Maybe we'll find, 1/200th. There we go. That is 0.5%. 1/5, we should recognize from a previous lesson, is 0.2. Or 2%, or 20%. 1/5, 0.2. 0.005. Bingo. And the last one, 0.5% or 0.5%, that is also correct. Okay. So the best way to look at these is to actually figure out what a 0.5% means as a number we can work with. 1/200 or 0.005. Most of us will be probably more comfortable with working with the 0.005. But you need to know what it represents as a number before we can really work with it. So let's look at this here. Which numbers are equivalent to 1/4 of a percent? So I showed you a couple of different ways to find equivalences, so what I'd like you to do is do that, and then we will come back. Okay, so the first thing I had to do was I converted it to a decimal, 0.25%, then I converted the decimal into a percent here. I converted the fraction into a decimal, and the percent into a decimal. The other thing I did is I said, well, let's look at it in fractional form. So 1/4 over 100. I multiplied the numerator by 4 here and the numerator by 4 here, and I ended up with 1/400. So the only choice was choice 4. Now let's look at this. why isn't 1/3% equivalent to 33.3 repeating percent? Well, let's think about this. 1/3%, 1/3 we know is 0.3 repeating percent. All I did was make a simple change. That's not the same thing as 33.3 repeating percent. 1/3 is a much smaller number than 33 and 1/3. Okay, so now what I want you to do is let's cross this out. Just kind of like we did the other day. I'm changing my mind as to how I want to do this. Calculate percents less than 1 the same way you calculate other percents. So we have the part equals the percent times the whole. Okay. Percent equals the part times the whole. So I'm looking for the part. So y equals 0.75%. There's two ways I can do this. I can do it as 0.75 over 100 times the whole, which in this case is 200. Okay. And 100 goes into 200 twice. So 2 times 0.75 gives me 1.5. Okay. The other thing that you could have done, some of you prefer to work with it in decimal form, you could have said, sorry about that, you could have said y equals, and y, it's not letting me write. I forget the blue pen doesn't work with the smart board, sorry about that. So if I have 0.75%, to convert it to a decimal, I have to move it over 2, and I get 0.0075 times 200. Okay, and when I multiply that out, I still get 1.5%, or 1.5. I would much rather use it with the fraction this way here, because then we can get this canceling going on, and it's a little easier to work with. Your choice, depends on the numbers. Okay? All right, so let's look at the next slide. They want us to solve each problem. So, what I want you to do is I want you to take a minute and off to the side, I want you to solve each of these problems here. So this is 1, and this is 2, and this is 3. I want you to solve them using the part equals percent times whole, and then come back. Okay, so I did all of the work out. I used my part equals percent times whole. So for the first one, I had 1/4%. 1/4 over 100 times 200. A couple different ways I could have done this. I simplified this because I knew from the previous example that it becomes 1 over 400. Then I said 200 goes into 400 twice, and I'm left with a half, which is 0.5. Some of you might have seen it this way instead of going to go with black. You could have said 100 goes into 200 twice, and you get 2 times 1/4, which is still 1/2. One good thing, there's always lots of ways to solve a problem, as long as you make legal math moves. For the second one, I'm looking for the percent. So I have the part equals the percent. I left it as an m. Over 100 times 1,000. I got rid of my 2 zeros. So I have 10m equals 15 in this step here. Divide both sides by 10, and I got m to be 1.5. For the third one, 4 is 0.5% of what? So I did 4 equals 1/2 over 100 times my x. I simplified this into 1/200. Then I said, all right, let's multiply each side by 200 here and here. These cancel, and I have x equals 800. Okay. Love these problems. If you use the same formula every time and put pieces in the right spot, you won't make mistakes. If you try doing it other ways, you're going to run into trouble. Trust me. Okay, what is 1/5 of a percent? 1/5% of 2,400. So let's do our formula. Y equals the percent, 1/5 over 100 times 2,400. Okay, actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I know you guys know that 1/5 is 0.2. So 0.2 over 100. The 100s cancel, and I get 0.2 times 24 gives me 2 times 24 is 48, and I need one decimal place, so 4.8. On these next two here, you are going to need your calculator. What percent, I'm looking for a percent, of West Virginia's total area is covered by bodies of water? So here's the part, okay? 145. I'm looking for the percent over 100 times the total, which is 24,231. Okay, so here, what I would do, I would multiply by the reciprocal. So I'm going to multiply that, I got to smush, sorry, 100 over 24,231. This cancels, this cancels. When I do 145 times 100, order of operations, I get 14,500. And then I have to divide by 24,231, which gives me approximately, let's see that approximate, so 0.6, and that is a percent, so we need 0.6%. Okay? I'm not moving it over because the M was over 100, so I have to put that percent on. So try question 7 for me. It's very similar to question 6, and we'll come back. When I set up my problem, I have 371 equals M over 100 times 104,100 feet or miles squared. I right away, if you look at my reds here with this 100 here and the 2 zeros here, I cancel them out. Get rid of that nasty fraction. So I had this left over. 371 equals M equals 1,041 M. I divided both sides by 1,041. I did my arithmetic, and I came up with approximately 0.4%. That's the end of our lesson for today. I hope you have a fabulous night, and I'll see you in the morning. Take care.